こんにちは、ラクラです。シャーロック・ホームズ、チャプター1、謎解きの続きをやってきます。さあ、久しぶりの投稿。見事解き明かしてみせよう。演説室に耐えだって。コペロ設備で起きた事件の状況について。いや、関係ないな。いや、無罪で使用してる。これだな。インコで死んでいた。復讐。いや、そんなのわからない。で、コペロ設備会社。ピンコレの死、有名な防犯用品会社、コペロ設備の経営者、バジリオ・コペロが逮捕されたっていう話に興味を惹かれた。彼の置かれた状況は非常に奇妙で、バジリオ氏の店の金庫の中でレッティという男性の遺体が発見されたというものだ。バジリオ氏は無罪を主張しているが、証拠は彼にとって不利だ。この警察署内の拘置所に拘束されている。
Let's pretend to be cops, eh? We can just stand around and look confused.
いや、今はちょっとこの数値で来たいんだ。ダウンロードコンテンツの特典でもらえた衣装、豪華な黒のスーツ。かっこいいでしょう。これで今回の事件を解決していきたいと思います。で、まずやることは、この捜査手帳にある、これ、証拠チケットを使って、証拠物品をまず観察してみよ
う。Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
ええ。じゃあ、これを。あった。
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second, I'll bring it to the table.
どうも。じゃあ、左から見ていこう。なんか薬品と注射器があるね。
An emergency kit for boredom.
ってことは、美術館のオーナーのボーゲル氏のだ。手紙がある。ファビオからの手紙。今日確かなのか、あなたは自分の憎しみを制御できていない。少なくとも僕の周りいればね。僕にはお見通しさ。僕が決めた人と一緒に過ごし、会話をし、遊ぶんだ。僕はマティッサじゃない。金はもらっているが、あなたは僕の飼い主じゃない。もちろんあなたからの寛大な援助は返さないよ。いくら受け取ってもあなたの感情の爆発にさらされる足しにはならないけどね。僕とあなたの関係はもう終わりだ。マティッサはいるだろうけどね。ファビオより。
Not the time for privacy.
そうだね。
Werner's personal sketchbook.
スケッチブック。じゃあこの真ん中のはカート氏のものかな？ルビーの指輪。
It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
これも高級品ばっかだな。と言っても水しかないけど。よし。
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring.
で、ハンカチ。しかも刺繍が彫られてる。
A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner.
これは、黒人女性のマティッサさんのかな？本だ。内容は？
That's not for bedtime reading.
ドクロマークが書かれてる。闇魔術とか、そんな感じだ。
This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library.
知らせてたんだ。愛の力、血とマンドレイク。警察による逮捕の最中、マティッサのカバンからオカルトの本が発見された。蔵書表によれば、この本はカート氏の所有する蔵書の一冊で、本には事件現場に似た儀式の絵と文章による解説が記されている。近日中に打開した大切な人間を打退にせよ。火星と金星の紋章を書くことで汝の力を増幅させ、男そして女の本質の力を使え、男の心臓を金のダガーで貫き、汝を愛さない血を取り除け、汝の愛を示す紋章をかけ、不正を待つ間、魅惑の呪文を暗唱せよ。
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
そうだね。で、これは、 なんだろ
A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings.
う。ああ、おこまむりなんだ。これは限らない。
Her key to the altar room. Thank you, officer.
ありがとうございました。あ、ティスさんもあの祭壇の鍵を持っていたんだ。少し状況を整理してみよう。違うな。あ、これ違う。これ。ちょっと待って。こうだね。ファビオを切りつけたのは、マティッサを切りつけたのはファビオ。反対側はマティッサは客に切りつけられた。僕はこっちだと思うな。話を聞いてみないと分かんないけど、なんとなく、そう思いたいだけかもしれないけど。違う。これは違うな。犯人は自分自身を笑った。少し足りないな。じゃあ、この場にいない容疑者容疑者の一人であるサントスを呼び出してもらおう。この方を呼び出してもらえますか？
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
どうも。じゃあ7番へ行ってみよう。飲んでるな、ここでも。5番があって、6番があって、こっちは8番だから、いた。この人だ。持ち物を見てみよう。鍵だね。
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
おお。ということは彼も祭壇の中に入ることができたわけだ。遺言状、怠け者サントス。貴様が遺言に参加したいと懇願してきたから入れてやったぞ。これが私遺言だ。カート。メモの下に書かれた遺言の内容は次の通りだ。マーチス製の指示長であるサントス、ピンチョッティには口ひげ用のワックスの瓶と塩のランプを与えられる。雇い主の気遣いを忘れるな彼。ハートマンチョス。あんまりな扱いじゃないかな、これは。
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
じゃあ観察してみよう。あれ、この角度から見ると襟の色が違う。足のこの部分の色が。あとここ首の色が違う。感染または過敏症。あった。何度も遜色されてる。スーツの服の色が剥げてきても塗り直してるんだね。 金に困ってる様子だ。でも、理事長ならそれなりの給料をもらってるはず。これも継ぎはぎされてる穴がある。他に見るところは、多分靴だな。血を踏んだ跡がある。多分経済的に困窮してんじゃないかな。サントス・ピンチョッティはマンチョス邸の支持長だ。支持長のっていう邸宅の一番高い地位にもいるかかわらず貧しい暮らしをしているようだ。体には、感染の症状が見られ、汗月種で傷つけた肌を隠そうとしている。支持長のスーツには多くの穴が開き、継ぎはぎだらけになっている。染料を使ってスーツの見た目を改善しようとした。こうだね。
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
気がついてないようだ。
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
じゃあ証拠を提示する前に被害者について。
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his
それは大変
performances
そう
was
だ。
tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
そっか。じゃあこの遺言状について。
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
ファビオに対しては何かこう敵意は抱いてないものの扱いがいいことについては憤慨してるんだな。少し整理してみよう。あれ？いや違うな。ほら。サントスの証言と手紙の内容から考えて手紙はカートマンツに当てたものかもしれない。実はこれはサントスが洗い損ねた血の汚れなんじゃないかとも見ることができる。まあ矛盾してるんだけど、今下の部分であれあ、こうかあ、違う。こうだ。サントスのドルカは向かわれない。遺産を手に入れるため必死にされていたが、そのドルカは向かわれていない。 さて。
Please let me out.
とりあえず証拠を集めないと。今度はまたボーグレスの話を聞いて。
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
touche.
じゃあ今度はそのカート氏に話を聞いてみよう。まずはここは分からなかった。これについて。
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
はぐらかされたような感じだ。
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him. I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him. I've no idea about that.
まあそりゃそうだよね。で、これは？
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
よし、聞いたことは聞こえた。最後に彼女から聞こう。
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped. I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so.
やっぱりさ、こうホームズの裏にチラチラ映るチラマリが怖いんだけど。で、彼女にこの手紙について聞いてみよう。
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchios?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
そっか。じゃあ、あなたはこれと信仰してる？
Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought.
一緒に暮らしていて、作りにされる。血の魔術を使った。そのために本を持っていたんだな。さてと、このファビオからの手紙について捜査官に話してみよう。ゴーゲル氏の釈放について。
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
じゃあ、そう言われちゃ仕方ない。まとめよう。未告するのはサントス。違う。ボーゲルかカートのどちらかが嘘ついてる。サントスは血しぶきを見逃した。もしくは誤って踏んでしまった。ファビオを殺害して自身を洗ったとき、靴についた血の汚れを見逃した。もしくは事件現場を発見したサントスは血を踏んでしまった可能性がある。ファビオのことはよく思ってなかったみたいだけど、ファビオ自身については何とも思ってない、ような気がするな。こっちだとして、カートは殺人の手で自ら笑った。こうすると、マティッサはファビオに儀式を殺した可能性も出てくる。ボーゲルは酩酊状態で手紙を取った。酩酊状態になった時に自分の手で取ってしまった可能性。もしくは、カータがボーゲルのポケットに手紙を忍ばせて彼を容疑者に仕立て上げようとした。酩酊状態で何かよくわかんないものを取るかな。で、カートはファビオを愛していたものの、ファビオはマンティスとのカートとの関係を断ち切ろうとした。導き出される結論は、カート・マンティスが犯人である可能性。実はこの事件を解決するのにすごく手間だったのが、すごく困ったのが、この犯人なんだよね。ちょっともらって。こうすると、サントスが犯人になる。サントスが副頭の管を改善する唯一の方法は、カートの始末することだった。で、安当たりなようにファビオを殺したんじゃないかっていう可能性だね。もしくはカートが大事にしているファビオを殺すことで復讐しようとした。で、もう一つの可能性がこれだ。マティッサが犯人である可能性。で、動機としては、ファビオを殺して自分の ファビオと一緒になるために彼を刺殺した可能性、儀式を行って。ただどれを選んでしまったとしてもちょっと後味がね。サントスは真面目にいやいやながらも真面目に仕事をしているようで、ファビオに対しては悪い、よくは思っていなかったものの、ファビオ自身については何とも思ってないですからね。カート氏の復讐のためにはカートへの復讐のためにはカートを殺した方が一番いいから。で、マティスタはマティスタで、実はこれ犯人に仕立ててあげることもできるんだけど、マティスタは別の人の相手をしていたことだし。となると、やっぱり犯人としては俺なんじゃないかな。犯人はカート氏としカートだとして、彼が儀式を加われてたのはマティスタに罪を着せるためで、疑いを晴らすため、ボーゲのポケットに手紙を入れた。他人の命を何とも考えていないカートは公式なのがふさわしい。僕は今回、結論をつけて事件を解決する。行こう。
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
冷ないらの血。
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned.
で、あなたの片思いだった。
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful. And Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
そうかな。じゃあ、サントスに対しての扱いはあれ何なんだ？
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
いや、これは計画的殺人だ。
The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved. But Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him. And then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
それでは。
I have a name for you. Kurt Manchios.
Is that so? The master of the Sabbath?
The man himself. Mr. Manchios couldn't stand to lose control over his lover. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence. I have all the evidence to charge him.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a name thanks to that for sure.
よかった
As
ね
for。my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
ありがたい。これら。受験記録07から47番。到着した捜査官によってストーンウッド邸の庭の一帯はバイオレット・ホームズ夫人であると確認された。被害者の体は全体が水に濡れており、喉に5センチほどのにわたる縦型の深い石灰の跡が確認できた。被害者の顔は膨れ上がり、赤い斑点に覆われていた。死因は低酸素症であると考えられる。監査医の確認待ち。第一容疑者のオット・リヒターを現場で逮捕した。遺体は検視のために移送された。何を蒸らす？
Garden.
裏庭。
There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
ああ、見つかりそうだ。ここでよ。あれ？
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
好ましい結果だと思う。
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity. And it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
いや、僕は自由じゃない。
I take your point. There are some limits on us all, some compromises we must make. Despite my best efforts, we cannot remain entirely objective.
I didn't want to sadden you, Sherlock, only to make you think beyond your boundaries. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
また。それでは、続きが気になるところですが、今回はここまでで、見てくださり、ありがとうございました。またね。